Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. We are back. It hasn't been very long. I think I just clicked publish on my last video. We got more Q posts. I'm doing my best to stay on top of it, but I think I'm slipping.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I'm paddling a lot. I'm not so sure I'm getting anywhere, but I am sure paddling a lot. When we last left you here, 28:56. 20 minutes after the hour of midnight, soft push of new narrative. And here's an example. We got some tweets here. The first one is from Kimberly Strassel. Conspiracy theorist Adam Schiff is looking for something new, anticipating a Mueller letdown, writes Kim Strassel. And this is from the wallstreetjournal.com. Now, I'm not going to go into this article because I'm not really that interested in Adam Schiff's vision. I'm not interested in phase 2 of collusion. The second one is from New York Times Opinion. A concise Mueller report would mark the end of the beginning, not the beginning of the end. Okay, so New York Times not giving up on their fail fest. And speaking of fail fest, Rob Reiner chimes in. From what I understand about the complexities, opaqueness, and length of counterintelligence investigations, I'd be surprised if Mueller was able to uncover the breadth of this conspiracy. More digging will have to be done, but there'll be crimes, and we better get to see them. And I did chime in. I said we have. They belong to the DNC, meathead. All right, so you get what's up. They're already trying to shift this and try and soften the blow for the butthurt left that are going to find out very soon that there was nothing to this Mueller investigation. And now they're going to try and switch it to this Adam Schiff hype. What happened to the Mueller hype? Exactly. Well, they gave it up for Adam Schiff. It's no longer cool anymore. We're now talking about Adam Schiff hype. What happened to the Mueller will take down POTUS threats. Yeah, what happened, John Brennan? Looks like Q's asking you. What happened? What happened? Was Mueller the insurance policy, aka blockade, designed to limit, restrict POTUS's ability to enforce the law? Okay, well, we get a little rhetorical here. It sounds like we're playing Jeopardy. Of course it was. That was the whole point, right? Mueller's insurance policy was the investigation. It was to make sure that this stalled until 2020 or whatever, until they could get the POTUS impeached, right? Q says traitors. They got him in the kill box right there. New talking points being pushed, backing away from Mueller as the savior. That's funny because Mueller was the savior. Now they're going to soften it, right? Excuse A, excuse B, excuse C. Well, they're good at that. Why are new investigations by Adam Schiff being started? If, as he stated for almost 2 years, evidence exists that ties POTUS to Russia. Yeah, if you had it, how come you didn't bring it out when you needed it? If they had evidence, do you think it would have leaked? Well, that's the number one thing. And I think, if you're debating with your unhinged friends or family or whatever it might be, Trump haters, whatever it is, I think that's a great point to bring up. If they had evidence, don't you think they would have fought to keep it? They would have kept it under wraps. After all, that's what you're supposed to do. You want to keep it from being leaked so that it doesn't fall apart in court. If they had evidence, would they be backing away, playing down the Mueller report about to be released? No, this was supposed to be the juice, right? This was supposed to be what brought everything down. First, they pushed for a special counsel. That was what they wanted, right? Now they claim the special counsel didn't look deep enough. If the special counsel report is classified, how do they know where, who, when, why, and how deep each case? Precisely. Look, if there were any teeth to this at all, they would have been fighting tooth and nail to make sure that it didn't get out. That way it would hold up in a court of law. That's how you do things legally. Instead, they've decided to go ahead and leak this whole process because they really wanted to win in the court of public opinion. As far as the rest of the courts, they were kind of hoping to buy their way through that. Where, who, when, why, and how deep each case, And I'm assuming we're talking about either evidence there or sometimes Q references to us watching a movie. But I have a feeling we're talking about implementing evidence here. But either way, when, where, who, what, how That all needs to be kept confidential if you want your case to hold up. Well, if the special counsel report is classified, how do they know the conclusions of the report? Well, I guess it would tell me one of two things. Either A, somebody's leaking, or B, it's no longer classified. I tend to think it's the former. Our new investigation's designed to be an insurance extension. That's what the insurance is. Keep searching until we find something or until we find some way to get rid of this president. Designed to prevent POTUS from cleaning house? Yes, precisely. Attack on political opponents who are actively conducting leading investigations into the president for XYZ charges beyond Mueller for XYZ reasons. Zero evidence to support. Obstruction, trap. And then we get talking about the Southern District of New York opening a private investigation for the sole purpose of finding a crime. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that goes against everything our Constitution stands for, right? You don't investigate people, you investigate crimes. Evidence to support? Haven't seen any. Evidence presented? Seen none. Does the Southern District of New York report to AG Barr? Yeah, they have their own AG, of course. It used to be Eric Schneiderman. But ultimately, they do report to AG Barr. Watch the news, Q says. And then it looks like we're getting a preview. Looks like Adam Schiff isn't the only one opening up an investigation. Mad Max Waters opening new investigations into the finances of POTUS and or his family. Yeah, well, that's pretty rich considering your connections to some holdings outside of the country too. Can we say Russia, Russia, Russia? Why did Dems state things will calm down if we retake the House prior to the midterm elections? Okay, well, we'll just change this to we will. If we take the House, then we will calm down. But they didn't completely retake the House the way they wanted to. So they haven't calmed down. Now, they did retake the House, but they would have loved to have had the Senate as well. But either way, we know what this is talking about. They're talking about them. They don't want to calm down. Was their plan to retake the House in order to chair each respective committee in order to start new erroneous investigations in an attempt to retain the blockade. That's all it essentially is, right? Retain the insurance policy, retain the optical illusion that a crime was committed, retain the narrative, retain Democrat base outrage, retain Democrat base obstruction, retain Democrat base support to block POTUS agenda. If you know your opponent's move, what advantages does that present? Well, I suppose according to Sun Tzu, you give them something that you know they're going to bite on, like disinformation. Hence, maybe the Dan Coates story. Now, it may not be disinformation, but that would be a great example. You give them a story that something's going to break, and then you let them leak it and out themselves. And we've seen that a few times now with the Trump administration doing that. If you have the truth on your side, what advantages does that present? Well, it's a big fat one, the truth. Because it's really hard to argue with the truth, because that's what it is. If you have full control of the U.S. military, what advantages does that present? Well, you got a lot of bulk right there. A lot of guns, a lot of firepower, a lot of ammo, and a lot of support. If you have complete authorization to declass, which we know he does, what advantages does that present? Well, it allows you to hold it over their heads, and that's precisely what President Trump has been doing. Rather than dropping the bacony, cheesy goodness all at once, he's been doing it bit by bit and letting them scurry, letting them hang themselves. If you have the support of the American people, patriots, what advantages does that present? Well, it's huge. If you're the leader of the free world and you're the leader of the United States of America, support of the American people is crucial. Let's face it, we're powerful in numbers. And having that support is going to get you through, especially this time when you have the fake news media going so hard against you. Knowing you have those numbers, it's really, really hard to attend a Trump rally and shoot the thing as if no one was there, because we know the crowds are packed. Do not trust the fake news media. You are the majority. Mueller, D-Class, OIG, Truth, Justice. There's the timeline right there. The Great Awakening. You are the news now. Q. Let's move on to the next post. 28:57, 34 minutes after the hour of midnight. We thank you for your service. And this is the board operator for 8chan, I'm assuming Q is talking to here. We thank you for your service, volunteers. We thank you for your service, bakers. We thank you for your service, Anons. God bless each and every one of you, patriots, one and all. Pepe is proud and has never been more popular. Well, we thank you too, Q. We thank you, board operator. Thanks to all the volunteers. Thanks to all the bakers and Anon and every single one of you. And thanks to you too, Pepe. And thanks to you too, John.
You love me?
Sure do. Let's move on. 28:58, 42 minutes after the hour of midnight. Regarding the conservative attack on UC Berkeley campus, the attacker is a member of local Antifa chapter, joined April 2018. Facial scans do not hit directly. Greater than 2 jumps downstream required. Okay, so I had not heard much about this. Got on Twitter, saw this from Charlie Kirk right here. And there you can see it's pretty terrible. The guy's punching him, whatever. I'm not really big on this kind of stuff. Charlie Kirk says, while recruiting for our at TP, being Turning Point USA group at UC Berkeley, a leftist thug comes and assaults our activist, punching him in the face and hitting him repeatedly. Imagine if the attacker was wearing MAGA hat. Would be national news. This is the violent left. Okay, and it looks like UC Berkeley went ahead and made a statement. If I can actually get it, there we go. Yesterday, UCPD sent out a notice and request for information related to a reprehensible incident that occurred on Sproul Plaza earlier this week. According to the police, an unknown unidentified assailant attacked a Berkeley student engaged in political advocacy. Let there be no mistake. We strongly condemn violence and harassment of any sort for any reason. That sort of behavior is intolerable and has no place here. Okay, so you can read the rest there. But look, here's our dude right here. I'm not usually big on doxing people. I don't know this guy's name or whatever, but this is the knucklehead right here. That's assault, punched him right in the face. And it was a much smaller guy too. Funny how that always seems to be the case. But this is not okay, and I'm glad to see that. You know, obviously the campus is going to step up and say that. But the fact of the matter is that this is starting to get called out more and more and more. Us calling the left out on their racism, us calling the left out on their violence and their intolerance for the sake of quote unquote tolerance. So it looks like this guy's probably going to get his due. Q is saying this guy was a member of a local Antifa chapter. I haven't seen any documentation on that or anything like that. I don't know if they keep any documentation on a local Antifa chapter. It would seem if Q is able to know that he is, then there must be something. Joined April 2018, so there must be some sort of log of this guy or whatever. And like I said, I'm not going to dox him, but there's his knucklehead face. I have a feeling he's going to have problems of his own. Let's move on to 2859. 16 minutes after the hour 1. We get this Twitter handle right here. Clark Prasad from Bangalore. QAnon in Delhi, India. Hashtag question everything. QAnon, where we go one, we go all. Me wearing the Q shirt in a literature festival. Later questioned a panel of security experts around deep state. Got an unexpected response. Okay, well, I'd love to see what the response was. This is just a screenshot from that video, but there he is wearing his Q shirt right there. And it's very cool seeing QAnon entering the conversation out there in India. If we've got any Indian Anons out there, I would love to know what the vibe is like. Q says, our reach is a direct threat to their control. Would the largest news companies in the world attack us daily if we weren't a threat to their narrative control? Yeah, look, most of them are tanking, apart from maybe CNBC. Everybody else seems to be really, really tanking. Meanwhile, QAnon channels, truth channels, alternative media channels are growing to the point where I'm starting to wonder if they really are the alternative anymore. You attack those who threaten you the most. Precisely. If Q were just another knucklehead online LARP, it'd be no big deal, right? They'd let it go. After all, we've seen those many, many times before in the history of the internet. So if QAnon didn't have anything going on, what would be the big deal? And I think we all start to see that, right? 2860, 47 minutes after the hour of 1 and 17 seconds later. And no, this is an older tweet from Donald Trump. Comey throws AG Lynch under the bus. That's what I say. Why can't we all find out what happened on the tarmac in the back of the plane with Wild Bill and Lynch? Was she promised a Supreme Court seat or AG in order to lay off Hillary? No golf and grandkids talk. Give us all a break. Yeah, look. What were they talking about on the tarmac? Bill and Aunt Loretta Lynch. Well, they needed to make this email thing a matter. And in order to do that, Aunt Loretta was going to need to get something back, right? Was she promised a Supreme Court role? Let's look at these Q posts on the right. Public interest keep high. Uranium One, FBI informant. Awan, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Pakistan intelligence, Muslim Brotherhood. Tarmac meeting. Supreme Court, Aunt Loretta Lynch deal. Well, I suppose in order to make those emails from Hillary a matter, you'd have to get Aunt Loretta on the bench. And in order to get her off the bench, you'd have to get somebody off the bench first. Did that lead to Antonin Scalia's murder being the 187? Here's the other one. Side-by-side graphics are important. To be clear, Loretta Lynch was promised the Supreme Court position of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Okay, so from what I can understand back when this was being mentioned in April, is that Loretta Lynch, yes, was promised a Supreme Court role. She wouldn't have necessarily taken Antonin Scalia's. I don't know who would have taken that place, but she would have been next, assuming that RBG would have stepped down. And of course, RBG likely would have stepped down had she known somebody like Loretta Lynch was going to take over. Instead, she's fighting for dear, quote unquote, life. Coordinated, planned, RBG, big problems, Q. Now, Q says here, the deal of a lifetime. Yeah, sounds like a pretty good deal. Remember, it's a lifetime appointment on that court. Tarmac meeting not planned, according to Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton. Yeah, well, Bill Clinton hung out on the tarmac for a long time, just waiting to talk about golf and grandkids. It doesn't add up. Security reports indicate United States Secret Service security detail, Bill Clinton, and FBI security detail, Loretta Lynch, planned for meeting. Yeah, like I said, it's a long time to hang out on a tarmac. Supreme Court, Loretta Lynch deal presented by Bill Clinton. Yeah, great way to save Hillary, right? What actions did James Comey take days after? Well, he made that email investigation become a matter. All of a sudden, she was just being careless, right? Changed some of the wordings, and that involved Peter Strzok, right? Less than a week after the tarmac meeting, James Comey announced that the FBI would not recommend an indictment against HRC. How convenient. Returning to the news, let's hope so, because I would assume if there was a meeting on that tarmac that it's on the plane somewhere. There's got to be a recording of that on that plane somewhere. Let's move on to the next post. Q adds on here, actually. This is 2861, 49 minutes after the hour of 1. Just another coincidence? We dropped Loretta Lynch, was offered a Supreme Court seat on February 6th and backed up by POTUS on April 15th. Enjoy the show. Q. Well, if we get some tarmac tapes, it's most certainly going to be a show. But here it is right here. You see the tweet again on the 15th of April from Donald Trump. And over here was the April 15th post from Q. It looked like it was coming later, but still, side-by-side graphics are important, and that Anon took that to heart. So there you have it. Those are your Q posts for now. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who already do that. And if you're new to my channel, please keep in mind that from time to time, you're going to get unclicked and unnotified and unsubscribe. All my alternate channels are down below, my Gab, my BitChute, my Brighteon.com. Here's my Twitter link right here at IPOT1776. That's at IPOT1776. My email is also down below. My P.O. box is down below if you'd like to send something old school. And if you'd like to support the channel, my Patreon link is down below. All my links are down below. All right, kids, I have a feeling Q is going to bomb us again, so I'm going to try and get a little bit of rest before he does. But until next time, stay funky fresh.